Welcome to the House of Takes Late Night Show. We're the show that actually keeps our shirts on. Jason Kelsey. On tonight's show, we're going to get into, of course, what went down in your National Football League divisional round playoffs on Sunday. We're going to talk about, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs at the Buffalo Bills. I'll give you my thoughts and opinions on that, as well as a sneak peek of what I think could happen in the AFC Championship game. We will do the same thing on the NFC side of the ball. We will talk about Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who kind of squandered an opportunity to work their way into the NFC Championship. But congratulations goes out to the Detroit Lions, who ended up winning that game. I'm Dave DeBaugh. And thanks so much for tuning into the show. As always, we are coming to you live and on tape from the heart of the Silicon Valley. All right, let's dive into it. Now, I'm going to start with the game that just ended, I want to say maybe about 45 minutes ago. So we're recording this tonight in the West Coast, sometime around 7:30 p.m. at least is when we started. That being said, I have to say this game, as well as 3 out of the 4 games I actually picked correct this weekend against the spread on our Gods of Odds show. I must say I was not terribly surprised by the cadence of tonight's football game, especially the second half of the game, where punting seemed like a foregone conclusion that it wasn't going to happen at all during the second half of tonight's game. And then, of course, it suddenly started to happen. But these defenses in the second half of tonight's game, both the Bills defense and the Kansas City Chiefs defense, for the most part, got pushed around, especially in the third quarter of tonight's game. Now, we could take a look at the stats and talk about what Josh Allen did, and talk about what Patrick Mahomes did. What I can say is that Josh Allen is just absolutely he's so much fun to watch. I'm sorry. It's just absolutely so entertaining to watch Josh Allen play football. He had 2 rushing touchdowns tonight. And then he went 26 for 39 for 186 yards and 1 touchdown. And I know what you're thinking. He had 26 completions, and yet he only had 186 yards, which means the Buffalo Bills were playing a Kyle Shanahan style control offense for the most of the game. I mean, if you look at how much the Buffalo Bills actually ran the ball, if you were to compare this Buffalo Bills team to last year's Buffalo Bills team and the Buffalo Bills team from 48 months ago, they're vastly different from a scheme approach. This particular team, this modern version of the Buffalo Bills team under the coordination of their replacement coordinator in the middle of the season, has done just a fantastic job finally realizing the importance of running the ball. Now, of course, it didn't get them over the top against the Kansas City Chiefs. And if you're Josh Allen and you go home tonight, and I'm sure you're planning your next vacation, which I'm sure is going to involve a lot of golf, you must be sitting there thinking to yourself, what a bunch of missed opportunities did we have? He had 3 major drop passes by his wide receivers today, and they weren't named Valdez. I think one of the most shocking things, I was texting with a buddy about this, but one of the most shocking things in tonight's game was Valdez-Scantling actually caught 2 passes in a row. That was the most surprising thing that happened in tonight's football game, honestly. Like if you said to your friends, Kansas City is going to end up winning this game, it's going to be a close game, and it's going to be 27-24 at the end, you wouldn't be surprised in any way by that outcome. If you had said Buffalo's going to end up winning this game 27-24 and they're going to kick a field goal at the end to win the game, you wouldn't have been surprised. Look, this was not a surprising outcome in in any way, as far as I'm concerned. Look, Patrick Mahomes also played a ball control style offense as well. Pacheco is so fantastic as a running back. He just does such an amazing job. And you absolutely have to love his tenacity and tenaciousness when he runs the ball. It's even rubbed off on Clyde Edwards-Helaire as well, who also had some big runs in tonight's game. Patrick Mahomes through the air, 17 completions on 23 attempts, 2 touchdowns, and 215 yards. You know, for a league that likes to feature quarterbacks throwing for over 300 yards, it's been quite some time since I've actually really seen that actually happen in the National Football League in a playoff game. Well, that was until earlier in the day when Baker Mayfield went 26 for 41, 349 yards and 3 TDs, and of course the 2 picks. Now, the 1 pick was really bad, and the pick at the end of the game was a desperation pick. And if that hadn't been picked off, one of his next 3 passes probably would have been. In terms of as we dive into the Detroit Lions game, in terms of this game, I think this was missed opportunities by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think they could have actually won this game. I was actually surprised how well the Buccaneers offense actually played. Once they got Mike Evans going, it was just absolutely fantastic to watch. I was surprised that the Bucs didn't run more. And I want to point out why I think the Bucs could have won this game. If they would have actually ran the ball more with Rachaad White, who had only 9 carries in tonight's game. It is an outrage. If you are like a true Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, you should be absolutely outraged that Rachaad White only ran the ball 9 times tonight. Just let that stick with you for a second. 55 yards on the night for him. Now, on the Detroit Lions side, Jared Goff played really well, as well as you could expect him to play. 30 for 43, 287, 2 touchdowns, and didn't make any really huge critical mistakes in tonight's game. That was ultimately the difference in tonight's game. I will also once again reiterate that this was a game, as happy as I am for the whole Detroit Lions story, as happy as I am for that, this was absolutely a game in which the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if they had ran the ball more, played a little bit more ball control offense, could have actually pulled off, if you will, the upset in Detroit. All right, so what do we have now? Coming up, we have the AFC Championship game. It's the first game next Sunday in Baltimore, Kansas City at Baltimore. I'm assuming most of the money in this game is actually going to lean towards Baltimore. My early thoughts on this game are that the Baltimore Ravens, and I don't know what the spread is yet, but the Baltimore Ravens should win this game. However, I'm waiting to see what the spread's like, and I'm also waiting to read the injury reports from both teams, which I'll do on Monday. At which point, of course, I'll have a final decision during our Gods of Odds show on Thursday about who I think is actually going to win the game. But right now, on Sunday night, I'm definitely leaning towards the Ravens at home. Into the NFC side of the fence, I would be very hard-pressed to see a Jared Goff-led Detroit Lions team go on the road to San Francisco in a NFC championship game once again and win. I'm having a hard time actually seeing all of that happen. Now, same thing here. If Deebo Samuel can't play, if there are some key injuries on both sides of the fence, then of course that could change. But at this point, I think the money and my initial prediction on this would be that the San Francisco 49ers would win at home against Detroit, and not only win, but actually win big, 10 plus points in would be the difference that I see happening in this one. Look, that Ravens Kansas City game is probably going to be pretty close. So I wouldn't say that's going to be a 10-point victory for the Ravens or anything like that. All right. That is it for our big House of Takes late night National Football League divisional round takes / recap show. Look, if you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet to the big House of Takes channel, please go ahead and do so. And of course, like this video for the House of Takes late night. I am, as always, I am Dave Dubois. Wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day.